Pledgers. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited about today's guest. She and I have been in similar circles, and I've been so blessed to have her in my life, and I am just really excited for Sora to be here today. So this is Sora Surya No, and she is a sister on a sacred circle path, which I love. And I'm so glad to have interwoven with her path. So welcome, Sora.
Oh, thank you so much, Kit. And I'm really excited to be here and just talk from sister to sister.
Yeah, love it. Okay, well, as you know, the Pleasure Pledge is a 21-day long daily invitation to commit to your orgasm. And the theme of the 2017 pledge is, what does your orgasm mean to you? And I'm wondering if you can deepen into that question and share what comes up for you.
Yeah, when I felt into this question, to me, it meant everything. Like, that's like the words that came to me. And what I mean by that is whether or not I'm having orgasm at this very moment or not, it does mean everything, because it shows and shares with me in a personal level where I am with myself and my pleasures and delight around life in general. Mm-hmm. And so orgasm to me feels this place of within my own feminine power to be able to fully be captured in pleasure and delight, where there from that place I can birth and create anything it is that I want. And whenever I step into that place, it unifies me to the divine. It makes me feel like I'm more than just this human body, but that I have so much more to give and radiate outward. And from that juicy place, I actually can manifest a lot of magic into my life. The places of synchronicity, of serendipitous moments, of connection, of experiences, of abundance in my business, whatever that looks like. And that happens from pleasure.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you. And that's what's been so cool, is that this theme has resulted in these really rich, affirming, even to me, answers of like why this is so important. And I love the word delight, and I love that you share that with me, that it is delight, but then it's so rich and it's so much more. And thank you also for your truth of how it comes to creativity. Because I, particularly with what's going on in the world right now, I feel really, really adamant that alive, awake, creative women are going to be the only way out of it. And in order for us to feel that way and to come up with solutions that are grounded in love and compassion, but also effect, that we're going to need to be really, really creative. And to do that, we need to be turned on and value pleasure. So thank you. Yes. Okay, so what is going on in your life right now that you're just super excited about? How do you incorporate pleasure into those things?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking what's happening in my life. And there's something that you said that I really love, and I think these words really mean a lot to me, which is turned on, awakened, and activated. And for me, when I feel into those words, right, so if I'm really turned on with my body, with my sense of pleasure, but just around life in general or different aspects of my life, then I feel awake. I feel like I'm fully present in the moment of what's happening, in addition to being awakened in a spiritual sense. And then once that happens, then I can be activated to create impact, to change, to move, to do things to help create a sense of a reality that I desire to actually live in. And therefore it raises my vibes. I feel good instead of feeling into the heaviness of what is to come and the despair of life at this very moment. There's this other side of it, which is an opportunity and an invitation to co-create something different. And that's what I think I'm doing right now. So thank you for asking. I feel like right now I'm having this kind of conversations. I'm like inviting women to have conversations around sisterhood and how that can make impact and what value you have of the services that you give as, let's say, women entrepreneurs. And how do we stay in the sacred? How do we find the present moment of divinity in every single thing, every single person, every single moment of what's happening in life, and use that to support us within the collective consciousness and how to create this place of love and compassion.
I'm so thankful for you. Interestingly, we haven't really talked in the series very much about sisterhood, which is kind of surprising, actually. And I think it's because in some ways I'm just like so deeply honored by having such an amazing sisterhood, but I never want to take that for granted. So I'm wondering if you can share more about how you cultivate sisterhood and what it meant to you on this journey.
Yeah. It means so much, even including when it comes to, let's say, our practice of daily orgasms, right? Like when growing up, I'm this Asian American girl. My parents were both immigrants from Korea. They were very conservative, so I knew nothing about sex. No one ever taught me about anything that had to do with sexual experiences, anything. And it was really my girlfriends that began to share with me what this looks like and feels like. And then I started taking it upon myself, being the rebel, right, that I was going to learn as much as I can to help other women. And not that I'm experienced in that way, but just growing up, I knew more than a lot of the other female friends that I had. And so I share this because I'm at this place now in sisterhood where what I love about sisterhood is this opportunity to be in a sacred space, which means that my sister is not going to judge me nor try to fix me. And only if I ask for support or feedback will she give it. And if not, she's simply there to listen. And I get to just share everything that's happening, all my triggers, all my wounding, all the things that I want to celebrate, the places where I'm a little stuck, all of the different things. And that could include me and my partner, my dear partner, or it could be around my business or another sister or my health or my weight or whatever that looks like. And then by listening, by having them listen, I get this opportunity to all of a sudden feel like I'm being held and loved, which gives me a sense of pleasure because I'm like, oh my goodness, someone sees me. And then my entire body relaxes, just like when you're at that place of that pivotal moment of an orgasm, you have to kind of relax and let go of the desire of it to happen. And the same thing with sisterhood. I start feeling really held in it. And so I can feel so much love and juiciness in my body, in addition to asking for support. So if I am curious about something as, let's say, technical around sexual experiences, I have women I can lean on and ask about. And so like one side note, which might be TMI, but I'm in my late 30s and I really love sex and I love exploration, but I never actually had a sex toy ever in my life. Yeah. And so I thought, oh my goodness, this is something that I need to experience. I desire to experience. And I thought, who am I going to ask? I don't know where to turn to. What do I do? So I asked my sisters, my deepest sisters, around what this looks like. And it was, I think, actually in a Facebook community group. So not very secretive. And they shared with me one of the companies that I know supports your work. And I love knowing these things. And it made me feel luxurious. It made me feel like I was being held in a queenly, sovereign way. Like all of these different things that didn't feel shaming or slightly weird or a little too kitschy or whatever that is. And it's through sisterhood that gives me the opportunity to explore even places that might be slightly unknown to me.
Oh, I love that. That's so fun. And it's so true because we're here to hold and to guide in so many ways. And it can involve like, hey, what toys are you guys using?
Totally.
Yeah, and really change that experience from one of like nervousness and fear maybe to then being really exciting and luxurious.
Yeah.
Terms.
And even if it's not toys, it could be like, oh, in my business, I'm feeling a little stuck or stagnant. And a sister turns and says, what might cause more pleasure in your life? That could be a big question with so many different answers. Yeah. And yet it changes the dynamic of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. that question, and I can see it in, because there's intimacy within sisterhood, and intimacy within sexual partnership, and this question of how do you desire my support? That's something that I really learned in sisterhood, and I've been able to translate that into sexual partnerships, which is a really powerful question that in our culture we're not raised. I certainly wasn't raised with the awareness of that question. Like, how do you desire my support? And it goes back to what you're saying about how in sisterhood there's no one broken, so there's no fixing. But yet it's really easy to be raised in our society and think that we're broken for a number of different reasons. I've been challenged on that, because also you have to listen how they desire support and then show up like that. And sometimes it's not how I want to support.
Right?
I had a sister the other day who said, like, I don't want any feedback. I just want you to listen. And it was like, right?
Totally.
And that's the honoring. And I think, we can do that with ourselves too, because sometimes I look at that inwardly and it's like, what do I really need today, Kit? And sometimes the answer is not what I think it should be, but trusting that, how can I show up for myself in the way that I really need the support within me?
I love that. And it's also the other side of that, which is if one is to ask you, how do you desire my support? The place where sometimes we find the discomfort is not knowing an answer. Like, we're so constantly ready to give, and yet we don't really know how to receive. And we don't know what our truths are, what we want, what we need, what we are feeling, what we crave. We don't actually know, because we're not sitting in the unknown to figure it out. We're constantly just going. Yeah. So it's another opportunity to just drop in and be more self-aware with ourselves.
Right. And it can be scary to take that needed pause and breath and examine how we do desire support. We don't operate like that in most cases. Yeah. Oh, thank you for that reminder. So ritual. You have many. I want to hear more about how you cultivate and activate ritual in your day-to-day and throughout the month. And I'd also love to hear more about how you incorporate moon energy and celebration.
Gorgeous, yes. So rituals to me, though, it may seem like I have many, is a very simple thing, I believe. I believe rituals is simply feeling into an intention, allowing yourself to really feel it in your body, and from that intention, create a series of motions or experiences or activities in a beautiful way with the outcome of being able to still embody that intention. And to me, that's a ritual. And so simply, even as in getting yourself ready during the day, if you sit for a moment and your intention is, I desire to look and feel as beautiful on the outside as I feel on the inside. And then create that experience, and then use that as an everlasting energy imprint for the rest of your day, where you go out in the world and you all of a sudden have these opportunities of connecting with people that make you feel even that much more divine and smart and held and all of the in-betweens. And so for me, every day, I hopefully live ritual, which is just being present and in gratitude for everything that is occurring in my life, even the things that feel challenging. Right? And so with that being said, you were talking about the moon, and there's two ways to think about the moon and moon rituals. The first one is thinking about, let's say, the phases of the moon. So a full moon to a new moon to a full moon. And I believe we just had our new moon. And so new moon, new beginnings versus the full moon, which is really about letting and go and releasing of some things that don't serve you so that you can continue on with the path of what it is that you're manifesting into your reality. And so there's that aspect of the rituals, or the other aspect of rituals is my connection with my moon cycle, my menstrual cycle, and feeling into my phases of that, how I'm feeling, and based on that, how do I want to interact with myself and the world to create the magic based on that. So where do you want to go with it?
It's also good. It's so important. let's actually start with the cycle and how you embody that.
Okay, so when I am bleeding, which is about 3 to 4 days, is when I know that I really need to take a break. My emotions are high. I am very sensitive. So I simply actually take at least an hour, if not half a day to a day, to drop on my sheepskin rug. And I do nothing. Like I don't take my phone and slightly look at Facebook or start Instagramming that I'm on my sheepskin, or I do nothing of the sort. I'm like literally and just am. I might listen to some music. I might journal after I take a good moment of just being. It's also the time where I let everyone I know that loves me that I'm on my moon, which means that I'm probably going to be pretty inaccessible. And with my partner, I tell him, I say, listen, babe, I am on my moon. And he knows what that means now, which means he's going to be making all the food, that he will be knowing that I'll be really tender, that I'm going to come for some snuggles, that I want nothing more than that, and that I might be crying and I won't even know why I'm crying. And he's just to hold me. And then it's perfectly fine. And I do that with my sisters too. I just let them know, and they'll call me or they'll just send me some loving texts. After that is my follicular stage, which means that I am starting to really feel good, which is what I'm in now. So I get to have conversations. I'm delighted by life. And so this is when I'm usually outside and I'm giving my offerings of gratitude of, gosh, I went through such a moment of inner reflection, and now I'm coming up really understanding where I'm going next, and I'm so grateful. So I give offerings to the land, usually with tobacco and cornmeal, or just a piece of my hair, or just a blowing of a kiss. And that might be to a tree or to a specific designated spot outside, or because I'm taking a nature walk. And that's my simple ritual. As I move into my ovulatory stage is when I know I'm very heightened and aware, which is when I schedule most of my dates out with my sisters. And they know that there's only about a good week of chunk of time that I'm going to be out and about. So I schedule my tea dates, and I schedule my date nights with my love. And I know that my sexual experiences are heightened, and I really want play. And I want to be able to just be like, all right, babe, right now. And he's like, good, cool, let's go. And he totally knows, because I'm so juiced up with life in general. And so that's my ritual, is to just be in incredible pleasure as much as I can for the 4 days that I'm ovulating. And then the last 2 weeks of my luteal is when I get organized. And so that first week I get really organized, and with my team, I'm banging out financials and doing all those things. And that's the time when I drop in and I really start noticing how I can connect with the divine or with my spiritual practices even more. It's when I start really noticing, am I in integrity? Is there something that I need to clear? Have I done a good job? And so celebrating what that looks like and feels like. And it's when I drop in with my community and my tribe. And then the last week is when I get to start crying a little bit more, start journaling more, start wanting to cohabitate with my beloved and my puppy, and that's it, and making no excuses or feel shame about the fact that I just want my own introspective, introverted time. And that's when the magic occurs for me. That's when I drop into my deep meditations, when I really feel into my guides and all the beings that are around me. And that's a time when my spiritual practices are a lot deeper and longer and wider than any of the other moments. So that's how I create my rituals. That was long. I hope that was helpful.
That was so helpful. That was so beautiful. And I'm really trying to, I think I even shared this in our Facebook group with a pledge many months ago, wanting to, on full moon, let go of my judgments around luteal. And find some gratitude for it, because sometimes it just feels so heavy, and some months the insecurities and the self-talk that comes up is really overwhelming. Yeah, I really needed that reminder, because I get kind of fearful of luteal, oh no, it's gonna be awful. And the presence of deepening in, listening, seeing what's there that's not of service.
And the luteal phase is so powerful, especially sharing with your tribe members, right? Like
Mhm.
we all get it. We all get the deep, immense fear, the waking up in the middle of the nights with sweats, the wondering, what in the world are we doing?
Right? Right? Yeah.
And it's powerful to remind ourselves that it's another deep initiation each month that we get to have as powerful women and creatresses, and that as a collective and sisterhood, that we can support each other through it, not be like, oh, it's going to be fine, but more like, I get it, I witness it, and there's the strength behind it, and you're going to get to the other side.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's so important. I think more awareness around our cycles, knowing where I am in my cycle, has been totally game changing for me. Like for so many years, I just had no idea. I don't know. It was pretty regular, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. And now it's like it's really grounded me in understanding the whole spirit of it being a cycle, and it's continuously moving, and I can be really present to it. And as you say, have sisters aware of where I am so that they know how to show up and I know where they're at. And it's really, really beautiful and powerful. And I'm really, really thankful for it. um,
I do. I love starting a call being like, so how are you feeling and where are you on your cycle?
mhm, mhm, yeah.
And if you're not having your cycle, what does that look like and feel like for you right now? You know, like there's so many places you can take that conversation.
Right. Yeah. And it's such a privilege to be able to have these conversations. And yeah, oh, I honor that. Thank you. Okay, so what do we do on new moon and full moon? I just have this desire to really deepen in sisterhood around these rituals. So actually, if you're watching and you're in Colorado and you want a buddy, um, ping me, because I just look up, like when it's full moon, particularly, it's like, this is so amazing. Like the world is so amazing and it's so beautiful, and um, it, undeniable is this word that keeps coming up to me, because I think my like ego logical trained mind has a hard time wrapping myself around a lot of the truths that I know within me around spirit. And that moon to me is just such a symbol of like my body is connected to it. I bleed with the moon. Like it's just undeniable to me that there's this pull and connectivity. So anyway, so my desire is to deepen into that. And I would love to know what you do in terms of celebration of the different phases of the moon.
Yes. I say the first thing is really, so for sisters who are watching and really want to connect, is just look up every night if you can. And just notice what's happening. Do you see the moon? Do you not? Do you know where the phases are? So that's not just new moon and full moon, because there's a full cycle that happens along with our own cycle, the cycle of the weather and the seasons. There's so much that's related to it together. And then when we think about the new moon, getting a moment to really feel into how the moon feels for you without listening to what everyone else says about it, right? Because your relationship with the moon will look and feel different. So for some, it feels a bit melancholy. It feels like, oh wow, the moon is dark and there's a place of void, and I could really get into a feeling of what that looks like for me. And there's a sense of sadness, in which case, great, go with that. And be with that. For some, the new moon really feels like, it's a new chapter. The light is dawning, like something's going to happen. And so I'm percolating over what the newness will look like. Either way, the invitation in straddling between both is this idea of what no longer really actually serves you, that you're like, you know what? I'm done with this. There is a completion. There is a place where I can move it into the vortex, and now there's a void. And in that void, though I don't know, it means that I have space for something new to occur that's in my highest good. And so if you know what that looks like, the new moon helps you really articulate and feel into it. It's really about feeling and embodying it. Mm-hmm. So in Sisterhood and Circle, when you're gathering your women virtually or live, it's really about that, having the conversation and asking good questions, which is, what do you desire? What are you creating? What would you like us to witness? What are we celebrating that you are ready to claim for yourself? Or do you have a vow or a decree that you're stepping into? And basically it's witnessing each of you in that. And then for the full moon, it's really about activating the wild, wise, ancient wisdom that's within us as women, that we are creators. And so are we ready to really allow the creative force to take over instead of trying to force it, manipulate it, make sure we know the actual outcome, like all of that? Can we let it go and be in true surrender, true trust as to we're exactly where we are, taking the steps that we need to get to where we are supposed to go? And if we're struggling with taking the necessary steps because we're afraid, the full moon's the perfect time to let that go, to ask for help, either through grandfather fire or through your sisters, and just say, I need some support in letting this shit go so that I can really be free to be activated into the next step. And so as you begin to feel into what that looks like for you in the moon, working with the elements to help support you, and then creating something that just feels really fun and beautiful and in honor of your grace and your divinity. And you make it simple. As long as it's simple, with a lot of intention and clarity, with laughter and playing curiosity with yourself and with your sisters, the most miraculous things happen. You don't need a chant. You don't need to call in the directions. You don't need to do anything. The first thing has to be showing up for it.
Thank you. This is another theme in my life, is to ask myself, how can I make this more simple 3 times? Because I'm very good at overcomplicating things.
Yes.
I love and appreciate that advice.
Right? Because when women think of circles like a full moon, you're like, oh my gosh, I need 10,000 oracle cards, and I need to have a bonfire, and I need things to I need things to burn, and all of these different
all the things, exactly. Which keeps me from deepening into a simple practice, which is the potency.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm curious if there are specific examples that have come up recently or in the distant past that you point to as in gratitude for this practice, this was a new moon seed intention and this was planted, or something that you've let go of at full moon.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that I've been deepening into this kind of place of curiosity with the divine for a number of years, I actually have only one practice that I do on a regular basis. That's for all ceremonial purposes, for all rituals. And that's sitting with my altar. I have what's called the living altar, which means that each item that's on my altar has been given breath and has been animated to represent a part of my life. And so I sit with my altar every day. I feed my altar because it's a living, breathing entity. So I feed it. I listen. I ask for support. And it's through that and having an actual relationship. So it's not just, I have a really pretty crystal and I'm going to call upon my crystal when I'm in despair, right? It's like an ongoing relationship. And due to that, it provides me with a lot of information. And we can call it different things. It could be that it's an access point and a portal to listening to my own intuition in a slightly different way because it helps mirror it back. Or we can say that it is living and breathing. It has knowledge and encoded information that supports me, whatever it is that you believe in. But the data practice of me and my belief and my trust in this relationship, this partnership that we have together, has supported in a lot of miracles occurring, including desiring knowing what my next steps are and immediately knowing, or wondering where I'm supposed to go next and immediately being offered a speaking gig, or wondering if this partnership of a collaboration I was supposed to have is really in alignment for us both, and the stone literally providing me with messages as to why it's not and how to move through it. Right? And so to me, that has shown me the power of trusting in not just my own inner compass, because I'm wise, but also that I'm being led as long as I'm willing to be open to receiving the information with clarity.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. And to be able to receive it and then trust it enough to go forward.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't feel so good, you're like, really? That?
Sure, can we alter that message, please?
Let's pull another card because I don't like that card.
just yesterday, I think. I was like, no, I don't want that energy. And then, of course, I was like, why am I so fearful of that? So, It was funny. It was actually, it was spontaneity, which is so funny to me that I was so resistant to it, because here I am in this, creative moment.
Yes.
And I was like, no, but I can't be spontaneous because I have all these things to do. And as I am creating and co-creating with wonderful sisters like you, this offering that's all around playfulness and pleasure. And here I am, like, in resistance to that. It was an opportunity to listen and learn and get a bit of a check from.
Yes. And I love that. For those of you sisters who are like, I don't know about this whole spiritual thing, like, you don't even have to take it to that extent. It really is just around, can some of these tools help you get more aware of yourself and how you think and your patterns and your triggers? And that's it. And if it does that, it's a game changer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just that opportunity, whether it's from a crystal or a card or none of it, but just being more and more aware of what's happening and where the resistance is, and where that disconnect I find of, like, what I want to hear and what I'm actually hearing.
Right.
We know, right? Like, we know. True. So thank you so much, Sora. I'm wondering, as we come into closure of this conversation, if there was anything that I didn't ask, or anything that you are feeling like, I really want to say this. Like, I really wanted to have the opportunity to say this to Kit and to the Pleasures.
Sure. There's one practice that I do as often as I can remember. I'm human, so I don't always remember. But when I'm in the place of having to make a decision or do something or write a blog post or whatever it looks like, and I can remember to be present in this place of the sacred, the one access point that helps me drop there is actually focusing on my yoni and watching my vulva expand, watching my muscles relax, feeling into the tingles and the vibration that happens up through my first into my second chakra. If I can feel that and then step into what I'm doing next, it's a whole different experience than just numbing myself and doing something for the sake of doing. And I've really have learned the difference and the power in that, not only because it provides a sense of pleasure within my body, but actually opens this mystical door into the most amazing experiences that help support me and energize me and allow me to be in integrity as this divinely feminine creature.
Wow, that's powerful beyond belief. And such a beautiful reminder. And again, that can be simple, right?
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Yeah. I love it. That is such a beautiful share. And so connected to breath and just the whole system, but really getting down into that root and appreciation for it. And walking through life with that groundedness. Yoni. Wonderful. Sora, thank you so much for all the wisdom and just the loveliness that is you. I am so deeply grateful.
Thank you so much, Kit, and thank you, ladies, and may you continue on with your pleasure pledge.
Thank you.